my name is Kara and this is the second episode of the Skeins and Scholars podcast. This is a podcast about knitting as well as the things I learn about during my day-to-day life or whatever interests me at the moment. My Instagram is @KaraApplePie and my Ravelry ID is Kara Ellen if you want to know. And also since last week I have made a group on Ravelry which has currently I think like 1 or 2 members. So maybe if you want to you could join, and there in the future will be knit-alongs happening as well as giveaways once there will be one. And right now there's just the introductions and chatter threads, so if you have any questions towards me or just would like to tell me something about yourself, you can do that there. I am currently wearing the finished object from last week, which is the sweater I knit from my boyfriend, which is why it's kind of a bit large on me. I'm not quite as tall as him, and he's also much more muscular than me, so it's like, hi, I'm a small person in a tall person's sweater. But I'm really proud of it, and I'm wearing pajamas underneath because I was on holiday for a week and just came back after 8 hours of driving, so I took a shower and immediately put on my pajamas. But as I already wanted to film this podcast 2 days ago, on Saturday, and now it's Monday. No, I wanted to film on Friday, and now it's Sunday. I thought it was now the right time to record an episode, and I just put this on so you didn't have to see my large pajama t-shirt, which I like to wear. So yeah, that's what's happening here. This is the Lion Sleeps Tonight knitting pattern, which is by Regina Moessmer, and I knitted in Drops Extra Fine Merino, or Merino Extra Fine, in 3 colors that are also in the show notes from last week if you would like to know. Yes, so yeah, I was on holiday for a week as I told you, so that's kind of why this episode will be a bit less structured than maybe usually, because I wrote the show notes 2 days ago or 3 days ago now, so I know what's in them, but they're not as fresh in my head, and I'm also kind of tired after a long day of driving. I didn't drive, I just sat in the back of the car. I don't like to drive, both for environmental reasons and just for not wanting to drive. So I had 2 other people who could drive, so I didn't have to, which was very nice. Which is also why there's a lot more knitting this week than maybe most other weeks. Yet last week was also a really full of knitting episode because it was the first one, and you didn't see the objects ever before I showed them. But now this week is again more than usual because also I had a day more knitting time, and I plan to regularly record my podcasts on Saturday. But I only have 1 finished object, which I actually don't have here to show you because I have not unpacked them yet, but it's my pair of Rose City rollers from last week, which were made in a salmon pink yarn from an unknown hand dyer. I bought it for very cheap on eBay. But it's really nice. It's merino in sport to DK weight with also a little bit of nylon, but I don't know the exact percentages or the exact meterage of the yarn, so I'll just go with that. And it has also been added into the stranded Dyeworks knit-along on Ravelry. So I think that right now they only have a chatter thread, but it will be entered to the finished object thread then. And if you want to see a picture, you can either look on Instagram or in my projects on Ravelry, so if that's something that interests you. I think I'll also show them next week when I have them with me, but I didn't get to unpack my suitcase yet, and because I didn't think I would have time today to record an episode, I packed everything else to my knitting bag, like the works in projects, so I could knit on them while driving on the road, but this one not. So yeah, there's a finished object, but you can't see it. There would have also been another finished object if it hadn't gone downhill, kind of. So this is a tale of woe. A little bit sad, because I showed you last week when I talked about knitting more Rose City rollers that I have this Rose City roller from a while ago. I don't know exactly from when, but it's made with my hand-dyed yarn. It's just a sock yarn and a wool nylon blend, and it's really fun and has speckles all over because this was my practice skein first speckling, so there's more speckles than necessary, but I really like it. And I cast on the second one and knit to where I'm row-wise supposed to put the toe in, but it's a bit larger. I don't know if you can see, but it really is. There's like a centimeter more. Like if I lay the other sock on top, there's like this much standing like more. And also like if I put it on my foot, it's both too long. I should have put the toe in a while ago, and also much too loose. And apparently, because I did use the same needle size as last time, I'm very sure, but apparently my gauge changed, because I looked at other socks that I knit now, because now I have one started for this reason with 2mm needles, but I also looked at other socks that I used to knit with 2.5mm needles. Like I have another Row City roller, which is a work in progress from a while ago, and it's also it's much too loose for a sock. I don't know. I don't like socks that are almost see-through. Can you see that? Like here? Not supposed to happen with socks, and also they're very large and very stretchy, which I don't think is ideal. So I need to apparently change my needle size with socks. I think the reason why this happened is because I knit a lot of only like sweaters and shawls for a very long time. I didn't knit socks for maybe a year, and I think in this time, like, because I was using like bigger needles and knitting more and more, my gauge changed over time, and also I don't know, I became a more proficient knitter, I think, because I had a lot of practicing time. So now I just need to change my needles apparently and use 2mm needles and 72 stitches to get well-fitting, but also like having a nice gauge socks. And I don't know what I'm going to do with the finished one or the unfinished one, because I could use a finished one, but I don't have a second one. And I don't know which needle size I would need to use to finish it, because these are 64 stitches. And I have started the sock with 2mm needles, but there I have 72 stitches and they fit fine, and they are at a tighter gauge. So maybe 2.25, but I don't want to like knit another sock to only see that it doesn't fit. I think these will go into timeout maybe, and then I will decide what to do later. But yeah, tale of woe, but it's fine. It's just some knitting time going into it. I'm lucky that I'm a really fast knitter, I think. I'm faster than my mother, and she's knit a lot longer than me, but also just because I like knit continentally, I'm already much faster than many like American style knitters. So I don't like throw the yarn and wrap it around. I didn't ever understand how that works. Like, it's fine if you use it, but I can't knit that way. I did once for a colorwork project, because I wanted to do the like two-handed colorwork method, where you knit the stitches with the yarn that you're holding as a left hand, like continentally, like I'm used to, and the other yarn you have in the right hand and throw it, American style. But I don't know, it wasn't very fun, and now I just have two in my left hand because that works better for me. But that's not a method of knitting that is fast for me, at least. So I can knit a lot in an hour or so. Probably like with 72 stitches on 2mm needles for a sock, I can knit like 4 inches or so, 3 inches. I don't know. I can knit a sock in a few hours, definitely. And like a long sock, I can knit in a day, even if it's patterned. So yeah. But I cast on the 2mm needle size Row City rollers that I was talking about out of leftovers from 5 yarns, which are from Bulgaria. This is the graffiti colorway in their sock base. So apparently it's only in wool nylon. I looked at what I ordered on Etsy, because this is like a purchase that I made for Christmas 1.5 years ago. I like asked my father to give me some yarn for Christmas, and he said I should order it and just like pay it with his credit card, because that's how gifts work apparently sometimes. So yeah, this is the sock, which is also very fun and colorful. I like colorful socks. This is 2mm needles and 72 stitches, and they fit perfectly. I did a bit of a longer cuff because I wanted to try that out and see how I like it. And this one is finished, and when I wrote my show notes, like the second one was barely started, there was 1 centimeter or 1/2 inch, of knitting being done on the cuff, but now after knitting on them for the whole entire car ride, I have, I'm almost at where I need to put the toe in, like a few centimeters, and that point will be reached. And I'm really looking forward to having them off the needles so I can use these needles, which are my only 2mm sock needles, because I used to use 2mm needles, 2.5mm needles. I'm all over the place, sorry. So I can use these needles for something else, because I have some yellow yarns that I really would like to cast on as a pair of like real long socks with some kind of lace or cable pattern on one side of the foot, so they're mirrored for both feet. That's my favorite kind of pattern sock, because I love having this one interest, like detail of interest that I can knit on to not feel like I'm only knitting stockinette, but they're also not all over patterned like something like the Hermione's everyday socks, which aren't difficult at all, but I don't know, I want to knit some more stockinette than that. So yeah, that's why I want to cast on those, and also they look really pretty. Like, there's a lot of different patterns like that, where only like one needle with double pointed needles has a pattern, or like a fourth of the stitches overall, and that's the socks I love the most to wear and also to knit. So that's going to happen with these needles once this is a finished object. I also knit a lot on my Marettimo tee by Caitlin Hunter. Again, I'm sorry for being so out of breath and like talking too fast and all over the place today. It's kind of difficult with being very tired, but I also didn't want to let you wait much longer. But I have finished the body of the Marettimo tee. It looks really weird because the bottom bit, the lace, is really bunching together right now and the top is not. Also, this neckline looks gigantic, but it will be like, when the stitches are picked up, it will shrink together a lot. But I'm really proud of it, because I think I had to like this point or this point last time, and a lot has happened, seeing that this is a fingering weight sweater, and I only worked on it like 2 days out of the week that I was away, and not even the whole day. But yeah, once I reached the split for the armholes, like, it went so fast. I don't know how that happened, because I don't like knitting stockinette flat more than I do in the round, but apparently I do now, for this at least. And I was going to cast on the sleeves and knit them on the drive, but I didn't have 3.5mm double pointed needles or short circulars, and I don't like magic loop. And if I use magic loop, I want to have a 100cm or 120cm needle, not 80cm, which is what I used for the rest of this. So it just sat next to me on the car ride, because I finished like the last bit of the left shoulder in the first 15 minutes. So now I have this much, and the sleeves are short t-shirt sleeves, and then there's only a neckline and blocking, so this will be a finished object next week, just like the socks I just showed you. And so that last thing that I was working on this week, knitting wise, is my Lyrica Euterpe shawl, which I'm knitting for someone named Lisa, who I swapped with. I'm knitting her 2 shawls, like 1 skein shawls, and I got 3 skeins of Wollmeise twin from her in exchange, which I showed last week. And it doesn't look like I've done too much, but I have knitted like part of a lace repeat. Like, there's only like 2 different lace repeats. First you work the first one, which goes up to here, or here, and then you do the second one, and I've knit like up to where I'm halfway finished with the lace overall. So yeah, this has seen some work, but I didn't work on it all that much because I was on holiday with people who wanted to talk to me, so I couldn't really just ignore them the whole time and look at lace charts. I can knit lace while I do other things. I knit on this while watching Amy's podcast from this week, so that's fine. But people like when you look at them during conversations, it seems. And I can't knit lace blind. I can knit lace during watching TV or during like even doing math or something. I can't like look up though. So that's the reason this didn't see more work. And actually that's already it for works in progress, because I did knit a lot on like the projects I showed you, especially like the socks I finished that I didn't show you, the socks that are a woe, a tale of woe. Yes, and my Marettimo tee and my new Roll City rollers. So I think that's not too shabby for a week's work. But yes. Before this podcast ends, of course, there will also be the scholar section. This week I mainly studied math. That's kind of the purpose for this week, because on Friday of this coming week I will have my final exam, which is 6 hours long in math, and I didn't plan on learning a lot or working for it a lot, but my father really wants me to. He was kind of very angry that I didn't learn enough yet, and I don't know, it's okay, he's a bit crazy sometimes, but yeah, so he wanted me to learn a lot, and then I tend to freak out when people think I'm dumb. Then I think I'm dumb and need to learn a lot, so I studied and studied and studied, and now I'm bored of math. I'm bored of I looked at the tests from the last couple of years and everything that's going on in them, and now when I see one of those I'm like, oh, again, because it's always the same topics, because we only have 3 topics that we have to do for the test, which is stochastic, which is probability distributions, and statistics, both of those. Then we have analytical geometry, which is vector calculating and stuff. I can't do math in English. I can do biology in English better than in German, but math, I never had math in English, so yeah, I don't know all the words. But the third topic we have is Integralrechnung. So I can't explain it, but higher maths, I don't know. No one that I'm talking to seems to understand it here either. My mother, she did, I think, math in her final exams, so she knows it, but she doesn't remember all of it, but most of it. But the people I was on holiday with, who were my godfather and my godmother, they don't know anything about it. They don't know math where letters are in it. And my boyfriend, he does know that, but he didn't do math in the last 2 years of school that I'm currently in, because he quit after our 10th year here to do a job and learn it practically. But yes, so no one that I'm talking to understands what I'm doing either, and I can't explain it in English to you, so I'm sorry about that. I also joined in the discussion on Born and Raised Knit's Instagram page about pattern pricing, because she kind of asked, I don't know, somewhat unintentionally, because it's also Fashion Revolution Week. She didn't want to steal the attention from that, but she asked whether we think we should pay pattern designers more than what we currently pay them, because of the amount of work that goes into designing a knitting pattern and all of that. And there were a lot of people in the comments there who were very well-meaning, I think, and they said, oh yeah, I would gladly pay a designer $10 or $15 for a pattern. But while I do think designers need to be paid very fairly, and I think that's what those people were coming from, I'm a student. I don't earn a lot of money. I make what I make with tutoring other students, but not more, and a little bit of pocket money. I can't afford, with the amount that I knit and like to knit and like to also buy yarns for the things I knit. I need yarn. I can't buy $15 knitting patterns, even if I would like to. I will be able to do that at some point once I'm a teacher and earn a real salary. But right now, it's not possible for me, and that's something I wrote in there. But my idea for remedying the current system, where designers are paid often very little, $5, which for a well-graded pattern that has a lot of sizes, so everyone can knit it maybe, or most people can knit it, I think they should be paid more. But the thing I proposed is something we use with the party I'm with. I'm with the Green Party in Germany, and their youth party as well, which is just called Green Youth. And when we have a meetup with them, which is usually 3 or 4 days in a bigger city, and we sleep in a school, but they supply us with food, and they supply us with like the materials for everything, and they pay for like the rent of the rooms, then I don't pay the full price, because they have a number of different prices that we can choose between. There's one where you pay half of what they need to pay, like the whole cost, or the whole costs for one person, which is what I usually pay. It's for students and like both school and university students, or people who are currently unemployed or otherwise can't afford it. You can choose yourself. You don't have to like show, oh, I'm a student, I have a student ID card. You just like decide, oh, I can't pay more than this, or I can pay the full price that pays everything that like they pay for me. Or there's an option where the price of that, which is 3 times higher than what I pay, like about 3 times higher, it covers every cost they have. So not only like the cost they have directly for me, but they also like if you go there, they will give you back some money you put into a train ticket or something, and that will also be paid there. And there's also one option where you can just choose between all of those. Like you can pay more than the lowest amount, or in between the highest and middle amount, or you can pay more than the highest amount. You can choose yourself, which is, I think, a great system, because the first option, while it doesn't pay like the entire costs there, they know that many people can't afford to go otherwise, so they just charge what they need to actually have you go there. And also, if you can't pay any of those, you can still message them and be like, I'm sorry, but I'm not able to pay any of that. But I think it's great that we have this option to choose there, because right now I can't pay the full price. But I think it's great that people who can will pay the full price, and once I'm older and like I earn more, I will also pay the full price. Of course, it's my responsibility as well. But right now I'm like benefiting from the system that also takes into account my situation as a student. So I think this variable pricing system is the best system there is for pricing knitting patterns, pricing like events, pricing most things. Not something that is having a set value maybe, although even there it would be a good system, I think. But especially for things like these, this is a really good system. And I was really glad that some people supported this idea, and I think it's something we need to look into more. I know that Jessie May and Aroha Knits on Instagram, they both want to use this system for their patterns in the near future, which I'm really glad about. But I think it's something we should employ more in the knitting community, but also like in our society as a whole, because it's the most fair way, in my opinion, of pricing things. But it's also a system that builds on trust and everyone being fair and saying, okay, I earn a lot and I can pay a full amount. I'm not just trying to get a better deal, so I'll pay less. So it does build on trust, but I hope that we have this trust in the knitting community. I'll just drink something for a second. Wait. I'm having tea right now, which is Yogi Tea chocolate, which Yogi Tea is my favorite tea company right now. They make really nice spiced teas. And I have a gigantic mug. It's almost as big as my head, and I have a pretty big head, but it's really large. There's 850 milliliters can go into it, so almost a liter. And I like to use it a lot. It has like different equations from both maths and physics and chemistry, I think, as well in it. And I need to use 2 tea bags of this tea, because otherwise it will taste like nothing. Just for having such a large cup or mug. I think cup is something we only use for like cups and mugs. Mine is definitely a mug. Sorry for being all over the place. Something I also learned, which is like the last thing, I looked into beekeeping more and whether or not I can be a beekeeper soon. Because my mother has bees, not just some, but she's a beekeeper, as well as being a teacher. And she went to a course somewhat locally, like 50 kilometers away or so, at a small university or college, and I looked into that and whether they have courses this year, but they do have one and it's already fully booked, which is not so great because I don't really want to wait till 2020. Mostly, I won't get bees right now because I don't have a house of my own, but I could help her. And I also think right now I have more time than I'll probably have in the next 50 years until I finish working, because right now, once I have some final tests after they're done at the end of May, I have free time until October, which is a lot. So I would like to use this time to study or learn to become a beekeeper, but if that's not possible, I will have to figure it out when I can do it later. But I'm kind of sad about that, because after we had bees as a topic in our biology final exam, and I was really glad about it because I love bees, and it was also about the mass extinction of bees and of other species as well, but also mostly about bees and how farming nowadays with a lot of pesticides and different poisons, and also just having one type of plant in large areas, how that can kill bees. And it just has showed me once again how important bees are, and that I want to help them. Not only how important they are, but that I need to do something if they're important to me, more than just eat a lot of honey, even though I'm otherwise mostly vegan with some exemptions. I occasionally eat something that's not fully vegan, but I eat mostly vegan, but I eat a lot of honey still, because I think it's important to support beekeepers and therefore support the bees as well. So yeah, that's something I was really interested in too. I hope I can upload this today, and I also hope that I can film regularly next week on Saturday or earlier on Sunday, and not be as tired and I don't know, non-stringent as this week. I feel like I kind of wasn't very interesting to listen to because it was such a all over the place episode, which I'm very sorry for, but it's all I can do this week, otherwise there wouldn't be a podcast. So I'm sorry if you didn't like it, but I plan on being more useful and more productive next week and making a better podcast. But I'm really glad if you watched till now anyways, and I would really like you to check out the group on Ravelry and get in touch there, or write a comment. I'm really thankful for the nice comment I got last week, and also for the one person who introduced herself in the introductions chat. That's really, really nice of you, and I'm very glad I have you there, and I hope more people will join too. So yes, thank you for listening to me ramble for all this time, and until next week, have a nice day.